Christ did not enter a holy place made with hands, a mere copy of the true one, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. So, the author of Hebrews is telling us almost explicitly that Jesus offered himself in the perfect tabernacle of heaven, not on earth. Okay? So, even at worst case, let's assume that the author did think that he sacrificed at the end of the ages. There's nothing in that verse, 9:26, talking about being sacrificed on earth. But I don't think we have to accept that he was sacrificed at the end of the ages, because it just doesn't, there's not a hard link in that verse like there is between the appearance and the end of the age. So the other thing I wanted to point out was that, the author of Hebrews almost tells us point blank that Jesus never was on earth. If we go back just one chapter, we can see in chapter 8, verse 4, that Jesus could never be a high priest if he was on earth. Here's verse 4. Now, if he were on earth, he would not be a priest at all, since there are those who offer the gifts according to the law. I mean, if this is not a smoking gun, I don't know what is. Okay, so I wanted to stop here, pause here, and look at what the author of Hebrews is actually doing. So he's contrasting the earthly high priest with the heavenly high priest, Jesus. The earthly high priests offer blood that's not their own, whereas Jesus offered his own blood. The earthly high priests make offerings in earthly tabernacles made by human hands. Jesus made his offering in the perfect tabernacle, not made by human hands. In other words, heaven. The earthly high priests make their offerings continually, whereas Jesus offered himself once. And we can see two very important verses that support the idea that Jesus was not on earth and he was sacrificed at the beginning of the ages, or the beginning of time. Let's look at Hebrews 8, chapter 8, verse 4. If he was on earth, he couldn't have even been a priest, much less a high priest. So that seems to argue for the idea that Jesus was never on earth. And if we look at Hebrews chapter 9 again, we see that the author tells us explicitly, if Jesus had to offer himself continually, like the earthly high priests, he would have to do so from the beginning of time, ever since the world was made. And when you think about it, if he did that, he'd be offering himself before even the animal sacrifices were instated, which to me, that just sounds like he offered himself originally at the beginning of time. But if he had to do it like the high priests on earth, he would have to have continued offering himself throughout the ages. So we can see the author of Hebrews making a contrast between the earthly high priests and the heavenly high priest, Jesus. And if Jesus was offered on earth, he would not have been offered in heaven, the perfect tabernacle, and it would have destroyed the author's duality. Everything the author is talking about is in the heavenly realms, contrasted with the earthly high priests and their earthly tabernacles. If we look at the verse for what it really says, and then know what the author of Hebrews already told us, then we can feel pretty sure that the author is telling us that Jesus was manifested at the end of the ages. He was revealed to mankind during the first century, but his death had already taken place. And all this, Jesus' death was revealed to mankind so that men would be able to know that. And by believing it, their sin would be covered. So there you have it. It's not really that hard. If you just read it, face value, you would go, well, it sounds like, yeah, but, you just have to dig a little deeper. So anyway, this verse is not saying anything about where Jesus was killed, and I'm also claiming it doesn't say anything about when Jesus was killed. It simply says that he was sacrificed and that this knowledge was revealed to mankind at the end of the ages. All right, So I've rambled quite a bit, but I just wanted to touch on all those things, and so there you have it. And I think if we could go back and ask the author of Hebrews, I think we would find this out because of all the other things he said in the previous verses before this one. All right, if you agree, we can probably scratch this one off the list and move forward. So anyway, I'll look at some more stuff later on. I gotta get to some other things, and so, but I'm gonna try and look at a few more of these, piece at a time, and see what we can do. These haven't been that interesting. The one about Pilate and the one about the Jews killing Jesus, those will be more interesting. So anyway, that's it.